And of course, there are no two nations more closely linked than the United States and the United Kingdom, especially as both try to move into new areas of cooperation. Trade and economic ties continue to push both countries toward a deeper and more meaningful partnership. As you mentioned, this relationship is built on ideas of fairness and shared responsibility. But then, something unexpected happened. In the middle of an official call with Britain's Prime Minister, Donald Trump did something no one saw coming. He hit the mute button. The entire world then watched Keir Starmer continue talking, completely unaware that he was speaking into silence. This wasn't a technical error. It was deliberate, and it revealed far more than an uncomfortable moment between two leaders. Sources familiar with the call say that Starmer was in the middle of discussing intelligence sharing under the Five Eyes alliance when Trump allegedly muted him. Reports say the split-screen broadcast showed Starmer still talking while Trump sat back, expressionless and unmoved. The visual alone was harsh. But before we go deeper, let's be honest. If you want the unfiltered truth about what is happening in Westminster, across the Atlantic and inside political offices where major decisions are made, truth the mainstream media avoids, make sure to subscribe. We're only getting started, and what comes next is even more important. This moment is not just about an embarrassing headline. It comes at a time when Britain's political reputation on the world stage is extremely fragile. Key parts of Starmer's Labour government are facing intense criticism over border control, how military veterans are treated, rising crime, and increasing pressure from the European Court of Human Rights regarding deportation cases that many in the UK believe undermine national sovereignty. Meanwhile, Trump, recently re-elected and energized by a nationalist wave that brought him back to the Oval Office, has made it very clear that he has no patience for leaders he views as weak or overly political. Whether people like Starmer or not, the fact remains. He was publicly embarrassed in a way no British Prime Minister has been in decades. What's happening underneath this incident goes far beyond a muted call. The UK is trapped between conflicting political forces. On one side, the European Court of Human Rights blocks deportations of illegal migrants, including individuals with criminal backgrounds. On the other side, British veterans, people who served the country in dangerous missions, are living on the streets while hotels across the country are being used to house asylum seekers at the expense of taxpayers. This situation is unstable, and something is bound to break. Starmer's reaction so far has been to try balancing both sides. He tells world leaders that Britain is still cooperative and progressive, while telling the British public that he is strict on borders and serious about national security. Trump didn't believe a word of it. With one press of a button, the entire attempt at balance fell apart. Within minutes, social media caught fire. Hashtags like #StarmerMuted, #Trump vs. Starmer, and #special relationship trended worldwide. X, formerly Twitter, was flooded with memes, jokes, and harsh commentary. Even Labour Party insiders, speaking anonymously, were reportedly furious. Some MPs are quietly asking whether this damages the special relationship between the US and UK beyond repair. Others are questioning whether Starmer has the strength to stand up to anyone, let alone a political figure as bold and unpredictable as Donald Trump. But here's the real point. This isn't simply about Trump being rude or Starmer being embarrassed. It's about respect. And right now, Britain is not receiving much of it. And here is what major media outlets won't say. This situation is not just about one leader being aggressive. It's about what happens when a country loses its direction. When political leadership focuses more on appearances than actual results. When public messaging replaces real strength. For generations, the UK has been seen as America's closest ally. The Five Eyes intelligence framework, joint military involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan, long-standing cultural and economic connections, all of it used to show unity and power. But after years of political instability, under both Conservative and Labour governments, that bond has weakened. Brexit created strain. Frequent changes in leadership caused confusion. And under Starmer, the cracks are becoming too large to ignore. Trump doesn't do diplomacy for show. He focuses on deals. If he sees no strength, no benefit, and no equality in a relationship, he steps away. Or, in this case, he mutes you and continues without waiting. Starmer entered that call believing he could use charm and shared history to smooth things over. But Trump doesn't care about charm. He cares about strength, leverage, and results. And what he saw was a leader trying to push for deeper intelligence cooperation, while struggling to maintain control within his own borders. Unable to deport criminals and unable to support his own veterans. To Trump, that is not a strong partner. It is a liability. Back home, the reaction was even more intense. Veterans who served in Northern Ireland, the Falklands, Iraq, and Afghanistan continue to struggle, underfunded, ignored, and in some cases sleeping in the cold. Meanwhile, billions of pounds are being used to process asylum claims, house migrants in hotels, and fight legal battles in European courts that many believe should not have authority over British law. This frustration is not made up. It is documented policy, and it explains why so many ordinary citizens, from all political backgrounds, are fed up. You don't need to agree with everything Tommy Robinson has said to acknowledge that he talked about these issues years ago. He was dismissed and punished while the problems he raised have now become impossible to avoid. You don't need to be far-right to see that something is deeply wrong when foreign nationals who commit crimes cannot be deported due to human rights rules. But British citizens who post strongly worded messages online are arrested for hate speech. This is the situation Trump sees. This is the weakness he points to. And this is why that mute button was more than a small insult. It symbolized Britain's entire political direction. Inside Westminster, the story is even more intense. Labour Party insiders report complete chaos. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner is reportedly furious, though it's unclear whether her anger is aimed at Trump or at Starmer's handling of the call. Wes Streeting, the health secretary and rising star of the party, is said to be distancing himself from the incident, telling allies this was a communications disaster that could have been avoided. Meanwhile, whispers are spreading on the backbench about possible leadership challenges. Not immediately, but the seeds are being planted. Here's the reality. Labour won the last election, but it wasn't a decisive victory. Their win came mostly because the Conservatives fell apart. Now, just months into government, Starmer is already vulnerable. This is more than bad PR. It's a fracture in the foundation of his leadership. And intentionally or not, Trump just exposed it to the world. Trump didn't mute Starmer to be petty. He did it to send a clear signal to Europe, China, and every global ally watching. The message is simple. Britain under this leadership is not strong. And if you're not strong, we'll act without you. Anyone who cares about Britain's global role should be alarmed. Let's step back for a moment. The implications go far beyond a single awkward phone call. Global power is shifting. China is asserting dominance in the Pacific. Russia is testing limits in Eastern Europe. The Middle East remains unstable. Alliances that maintain global order since World War II are under unprecedented strain. Britain, despite its long history, is now a mid-sized power. It doesn't have the empire it once had, nor the economic weight. What it does have are relationships, intelligence, capabilities, and influence. The special relationship with the United States is the crown jewel of that influence. Lose that, and Britain becomes just another European country shouting into the void. Trump's mute button was a warning shot. It said, "Get your house in order or we'll stop paying attention." And the frightening reality is, he may already have stopped. So where does this leave Britain? With a prime minister who cannot command respect internationally, a government failing its veterans at home, a legal system protecting criminals over citizens, and a public that has reached its limit. This isn't about left versus right. It isn't about Brexit or Remain. It isn't even just about Trump. This is about competence, leadership, sovereignty, and dignity, and Britain is lacking all four right now. The people of the United Kingdom deserve better. They deserve leaders who prioritize their citizens, who defend national interests rather than seeking approval from Brussels or Strasbourg. Leaders who understand that strength is neither aggression nor weakness, but a balance that earns respect globally. Starmer had a chance to demonstrate strength during that call. Instead, he was muted and the world noticed. If this frustrates you, you are not alone. Thousands of Britons are realizing that politicians have prioritized appearances over real governance. Virtue signaling has taken priority over leadership. Staying in power has taken priority over deserving it. If you agree that Starmer should answer for this, hit like. Subscribe if you want the unfiltered truth, not the sanitized version sold by mainstream outlets like the BBC. And drop a comment below. Do you think Britain's leadership can stand up to Trump, Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, or any other global power? Or are we watching the decline of a once great nation in real time? This conflict is far from over. The establishment hopes you will forget about it by next week. They want the public to accept decline as the new normal. But we refuse to stay silent. We refuse to move on. We refuse to accept this as inevitable. It's time to take the country back. One video, one voice, one truth at a time. Subscribe now. Let's go.